The Irish struggle for independence was a long and multifaceted conflict between the people of Ireland and the Empire of Great Britain. With constant raids, cultural suppression, and neglect, it is the view of many historians that Great Britain's hegemonic politics was the source of acrimony in Ireland. We'll explore the causes of strife among nationalists, the socio-political conflicts, and the lives of the leaders who led the era. Before we get into the substance of the documentary, however, you must know what fueled the Irish Revolutionary Movement.
The Potato Famine, often referred to as the Great Hunger, was a period of starvation among the Irish people. It occurred due to a widespread mold destroying millions of crops all across Ireland. Acrimony spread among Irish farmers as the British government handled the situation poorly. A man named Sir Charles Trevelyan was in charge of responding to the famine, but he was derelict in this responsibility. He was especially criticized for his conservative response to the widespread crises. His belief in laissez-faire economics exacerbated the famine, and hundreds of thousands of people who shouldn't have starved to death. According to the Social Contract by Jean-Jacques Rousseau, every human has a right to life, liberty, and property, and the British authorities like Trevelyan took away the right to life. Any government in charge of responding to a famine or humanitarian disaster have a responsibility to care for every person under their sight, including overseas. 1 million people died of the famine, and 2 million more emigrated due to the conditions at hand, the total number nearing 40% of the Irish population at the time. The potato famine was one of the main reasons the Irish wanted to break away, and paved the way for the Irish Revolution.
After the British gained control of Ireland, they oppressed the Irish for centuries. They suppressed the Irish language, Gaelic, and highly discouraged, or in some places outright banned, traditional Gaelic sports, such as hurling and Gaelic football. The first Irish nationalist movement began in 1870. This came in the form of the Gaelic Revival period. This encouraged the revival of the Gaelic language and Irish literary renaissance. It occurred due to the rising popularity of Irish traditional folklore and other storytelling tradition. An example of this is the work of Douglas Hyde. He began by publishing poems in Gaelic, and published a literary history of Ireland in 1899. This gave the Irish a sense of national pride, and Hyde later went on to be the first president of Ireland. The people of Ireland had a right to speak their own language, and play their own culture sports. The Irish people had rights, basic human rights, which numerous times were violated by the British. They had the responsibility to fight for these rights. With increased nationalism and patriotic pride, the Irish are fed up with the British, and it's not long before the pot must boil over into outright war. The Easter Rising was the first violent outbreak against British rule in Ireland. It began on Easter Monday of 1916. Taken out by the Irish Republican Army, or IRA, the rising intended to end Ireland's subservience of Great Britain and establish an independent nation. The Irish Republican Army forcefully took over various government buildings in Dublin. They fortified buildings, took strategic positions, and waited for the British. They then proclaimed the Irish Republic. The Irish Proclamation states, "We declare the right of the people of Ireland to ownership of Ireland, and to the unfettered control of Irish destinies, to be sovereign and indefeasible." The Irish rebels fought bitterly, and a total of 485 people died in the rising. Despite Irish efforts, the British forces suppressed the rebellion within a week, and much of Dublin was damaged or destroyed after the fighting. 16 leaders were executed for their role in orchestrating the rebellion. This garnered significant public sympathy for the Republican cause. Among these leaders was Patrick Pearse. He is credited with being the main leader and was a prominent figure of the revolutionary movement. One contributor to the rising who was not executed, Michael Collins, went on to be the figurehead to the Irish revolutionary cause. Though the British have the right to fight rebellions, the Irish also have the right to fight against who they see as their oppressors. For centuries, the British had ignored the rights of the Irish, and they would be oppressed no longer.
While the Easter Rising was the first violent outbreak in the name of Irish independence, it failed to break away for Britain. The Irish War of Independence began on January 21st, 1919, with a solo headbang ambush, when IRA volunteers killed 2 British officers. Declarations of war were subsequently issued. Thus came a bloody war filled with ambushes, guerrilla tactics, and assassinations. The Black and Tans were a paramilitary force recruited by the British government during the Irish War of Independence. The unit was composed largely of British World War I veterans who were brought in to support the Royal Irish Constabulary in suppressing IRA hostilities. The force quickly became infamous for reprisals against citizens following IRA attacks, like on November 21st, 1920, when they opened fire at a Gaelic football match after an IRA ambush, killing 14 civilians. The Black and Tans were frustrated that their enemies were not a tangible force. Rather, they blended in with the public, so in no way did they have a right to take this frustration out on civilians. Britain was severely in debt from the Great War, giving an advantage to the Irish. Tens of thousands of Irishmen took up arms against what they saw as their oppressors and joined the IRA to fight the British. They saw this as their patriotic responsibility, and many died for this cause. The conflict eventually reached a stalemate, with neither side claiming victory. The Irish Civil War erupted over the Anglo-Irish Treaty of 1921, which ended the War of Independence and established the Irish Free State as a self-governing dominion within the British Empire. Negotiated by Michael Collins and Arthur Griffith, the treaty granted Ireland a degree of autonomy while requiring leaders to swear loyalty to the British Crown. While Collins, Griffith, and a number of allies supported the treaty, viewing it as a step forward towards full independence, a man named Eamon de Valera, formerly a close ally to their cause, and a number of others rejected it, believing it betrayed Ireland's goal of becoming a completely independent republic. In June 1922, the Irish people took a vote on whether or not the treaty would be accepted, and the pro-treaty party won decisively. The radical anti-treaty forces retaliated, and the conflict officially began in late June when pro-treaty forces attacked anti-treaty fighters, occupying the 4 courts in Dublin. While the anti-treaty side, composed mainly of former IRA members, resorted to guerrilla tactics, the pro-treaty side gained the upper hand due to their British-supplied weaponry and superior organization. Tragedy struck both sides during the war in August 1922, when Michael Collins was killed in an ambush in Cork, and Griffith died of natural causes earlier that month. Despite these losses, the pro-treaty side continued to consolidate control. The war finally ended in May 1923, when the anti-treaty side ordered a ceasefire. Around 1,500 people died in the Irish Civil War. It is as we entered the Irish Civil War that the responsibilities of a patriotic Irishman become more complicated. The Irish had a responsibility to decide whether to accept the Anglo-Irish Treaty or take arms against it and fight for a fully independent Irish Republic, at the risk of losing the war and once again being oppressed. Many fought for the side that they chose, and many died for it.